Hi guys, so today we're going to talk about the Japan's historical background. Japan was settled about 35,000 years ago by Paleolithic people from the Asian mainland. At the end of the last ice age, about 10,000 years ago, a culture called Human developed. Human hunters, Human hunter-gatherers fashioned fur clothing, wooden houses, and elaborate clay vessels. The second wave of settlement by the Yao people introduced metalworking, rice cultivation, and weaving to Japan. The first era of recorded history in Japan is the Kofun AD 250 to 538, which was characterized by large burial mounds or tumuli. The Kofun were headed by a class of aristocrat warlords. They adopted many Chinese customs and innovations. Buddhism came to Japan during the Asoka period, year 538 to 710. As did the Chinese writing system. At this time, society was divided into clans. The first strong central government developed during the Nara period, year 710 to 794. The aristocrat class practiced Buddhism and Chinese calligraphy, while agricultural villagers followed Shintoism. Japan's unique culture developed rapidly during the Heian era, year 794 to 1185. The imperial court turned out enduring art, poetry, and prose. The samurai warrior class developed at this time as well. Samurai lords called shogun took over the government in year 1185 and ruled Japan in the name of the emperor until 1868. That year, a new constitutional monarchy was established headed by the Meiji emperor. The power of the shoguns came to an end. After the Meiji Emperor's death, the emperor's beca- the emperor's son became the Taisho Emperor. His chronic illness kept him away from his duties and allowed the country's legislature to introduce new democratic reforms. During World War I, Japan formalized its rule over Korea and seized control over northern China. The Showa Emperor Hirohito oversaw Japan's aggressive expansion during World War II, its surrender, and its rebirth as a modern and industrial nation.
Japan's geography. Japan is an archipelagic country comprising a volcanic archipelago over 3,000 km or 1,900 mm along the Pacific coast of East Asia. It consists of 6,852 islands. The five main islands are Hokkaido, Honshu, Kyushu, Shikoku, and Okinawa. There are 6,847 remote islands. The Ryukyu Islands, Nanpo Islands are south and east of the main islands. The territory covers of 377,973.89 km or 145,936.53 square millimeter. It is the fourth largest island country in the world and the largest island country in East Asia. The country has sixth longest coastline at 29,751 km or 18,486 mm and the eighth largest exclusive economic zone of 4,470,000 km. The terrain is mostly rugged and mountainous with 60% forest. The population is clustered in urban areas on the coast, plains, and valleys. Japan is located at the northwestern ring of fire on multiple tectonic plates. East of the Japanese archipelago are the three oceanic trenches. The Japan Trench is created as the oceanic Pacific plates subducts beneath the continental Okhotsk plate. The continuous subduction process causes frequent earthquake, tsunami, and extravolcanoes. The islands are also affected by typhoons. The subduction plates have pulled the Japanese archipelago eastward, created the Sea of Japan, and separated it from the Asian continent by back earth spreading 15 million years ago.
Japan's economy is the third largest in the world. after the United States and China, and ranks as number one in the world by the Economic Complicity Index.
It is dominated by an advanced manufacturing sector that exports electronics, cars, motorcycles, robots, and dozens of other types of finished products or components built to a quality and precision that is the envy of the world. Japan's rises as an economic superpower, the original tiger economy, is a truly remarkable story when one considers it was barely out of the feudal era. Japanese manufacturing brands are household names globally. In the automotive sector, these include Toyota, the world's largest by volume of production, Nissan, Honda, Suzuki, Mitsubishi, Mazda, Yamaha, Kawasaki, Subaru, Isuzu, and Daihatsu. Until the recent ramp-up of Chinese production, Japan was making more cars, trucks, and motorcycles than any other country in the world, and is still the world's largest automotive exporter. In electronics, Japan dominated for decades, although recent competition from South Korea, Taiwan, and China. Past and present, they include Sony, Panasonic, Canon, Nintendo, Yamaha, Epson, Toshiba, Hitachi, Sega, Nikon, Sharp. These corporations were leaders in the development and mass market production of the transistor radio. Tokyo has the third largest stock exchange in the world after the New York and Nasdaq, while the Japanese currency, the yen, is the third most widely traded currency in the world. The last decade of the 1990s and early 20s saw economic activity contracts, and this is part of the reason why Japan has by far the highest national debt of any developed nation at an eye-watering 236% GDP in 2017. With the aforementioned demographic issues of a declining population, the economic future of the country remains unclear.
So, Japanese language. Japanese is a nation language of Japan spoken by more than 124 million people, which is the 60th largest speaking population in the world. Other than Japan, some states in Republic of Palau speak Japanese as common language, and people in some part of Brazil uses Japanese due to the migration from Japan. Phonology of Japanese have a strong personality of open syllable language that ends with a vowel. Also, many dialects, including the common language, has a mora. Accent is speech accent. In the 3rd century, some Chinese history books recorded a few Japanese words, but the description is not enough to understand well about the Japanese language of the day. Chinese writing system was first introduced to Japanese in the 5th century. It is said that this is the start of Japanese literacy. So, Japanese emperor at that time invited famous Chinese scholars to Japan in order to learn Chinese writing system from them. The beginning of Japanese writing language. After the introduction of Chinese characters, Japanese started to use kanji. They use kanji with Japanese terms represented by characters used for their meaning and not their sounds. So this is the kanji.
So, the culture of Japan. Japanese culture is a set of values that puts importance on social harmony and hard work. Up until the 10th century, Japanese culture was similar to Chinese culture, but the rise of the samurai in the Heian period and the isolation during the Edo period changed the rules of society. Overall, the culture was influenced by the local Shinto religion, Buddhism, and Confucianism, and the limited natural resources. While Japanese lifestyle has been westernized recently, Japanese people still do everything because possible to preserve their rich cultural heritage by practicing tea ceremony, wearing kimono, and studying traditional arts and crafting from early childhood. Since harmony is important in Japan, there are many customs, traditions, and etiquette rules to create social bonding between people. Some of the interesting traditions that surprise foreigners, taking off their shoes when entering someone's house, wearing a mask when sick, not shaking hands, and not hugging when meeting with loved ones, bowing 45 degrees to show respect, making a slurping sound when eating noodles, and a lot. Thank you.